Hello, everyone. Good afternoon to you all. Thank you so much for joining this webinar. I think we are very special to you all because in these tough times, you are taking out your precious time for us so that we can add value in your life. My name is Paramjot Singh. I'm currently serving as a campaign manager for Techjockey.com. And today I got this opportunity to be the host of this value adding webinar. Thank you so much for joining it. So hope you all are excited about what is coming on your way. If yes, type E in your chat if you are excited. Great. So lower the risk with Rubrik. Today, in this very tough times, when we are totally in a very risky environment, and this pandemic has given us an opportunity to know that how an IT services of our nation or world globally are supporting our system, from a student to government, from corporates to businesses. Everybody is dependent on IT currently. And in these tough times, if a business like Rubrik is helping us to make sure that whatsoever you are doing in your business, you're doing it in a very safe manner, because that will give the peace of mind to you. So now let me share something about SISL Infotech. That's our parent company from where we all are associated with, and I'll give you a gist about it. Leading system integrator in India, fastest growing SI in India, helping customers bring automation to their business functions, serving IT needs of public and corporate enterprises. We have a customer of 6,300 globally, 4,500 successful project development, 4,300 employees, wider experiences, and we have a global presence of in 18 countries. Now let's come to Techjockey.com. Techjockey.com is a marketplace whenever you are confused which software to buy for your business, for your personal life, which hardware to buy for your personal and professional requirements. Techjockey is a place for you because here we suggest you to click, compare, and buy the best softwares in the industry. There is no such platform in India currently which can give you that value addition whenever you are looking for a software. We have a monthly visitor of 1.7 lakhs people. There are 8,000 plus OEMs who are working with us. 13,000 product offerings which we have, and we have currently serving more than 5,000 customers. Now, we are recently being partnered with a company which is working day and night to make sure that IT is performing, and this transformation of business is helping. We are helping to modernize and automate data protection, deliver instant recoveries at scale, slash operational cost, safeguard data from ransomware on-prem to cloud. This is all which we are getting together as Techjockey and Rubrik with our partnership. Thank you so much. Now let's move on to what you can expect from this webinar. How Rubrik uses a highly automated approach to remove the complexity of managing backups. How Rubrik allows you to recover rapidly, as in minutes, not hours or days. How Rubrik enables you to on-ramp to cloud quickly and economically, and how Rubrik lets you recover instantly from ransomware with backups that cannot be encrypted. This is what you can expect from this webinar, which is a very certain way. But the speaker I have with me from Rubrik is a very dear friend of mine, and I know that he delivers more than what he is expected to do. So attend till the end because we have something exciting for you. There is a special offer for 3 early bird joiners. There is a special prizes for 3 engaging questions, and there is a lucky draw which we have at the end of the session. So stay tuned till the end because this webinar is going to value add your time for sure. Now let me talk about the speaker of this webinar. He is a very dear friend of mine, a solution architect, and currently regional SE for Rubrik India. Harish has a good experience in designing robust, resilient hybrid cloud solution with specialization in backup and recovery. And I can go on about him because he has achieved so much in this decade, and he has been a person who has been contributing towards the IT transformation of many companies and currently working at Rubrik, making sure that everything is happening in a very better manner and designing a technology which helps the business. Now let's hear more from Harish. I hope you all are excited. I am again asking, I hope you all are excited for this session. If yes, then please type E in the chat box. E in the chat box. Let's see how many people are excited for this session. Thank you so much. Now let me hand over the stage to Harish. Over to you, Harish.
Thank you so much. And thank you for the introduction as well. And for the participants who did join, and thank you for taking your time off today and joining this session. So we'll try to make it as fruitful as ever, and also give you a bit of insight of what Rubrik is and how it's going to help you, with your organizations as well, just like how it's helping our customers today. Right. I think before we just start off, I'm not sure if we can have a video wise hearsay, but just wanted to hear from you, like even a show of hands in the Zoom session would be okay. How many of you have heard of Rubrik? Just if anybody could just raise their hands. Okay, it does look like we have quite a few. Awesome. So thank you so much for that. So with this session, right, what we intend to do is not just give a briefer of, basically what Rubrik does, but how it also adds value, right? And everything with the use case perspective is also something that we'll touch upon. Now, with respect to where we stand, right? Okay, so with respect to where we stand today, we are in the leaders quadrant for both Gartner and for Forrester, right? We are the fastest company to reach there as well. And if you look at the other stats as well with regards to Forbes, we are ranked number 9 as the top 10 cloud companies in the world. So the question always comes with regards to why, right? Why Rubrik? Why is it that a company which is only 7 years old is now seeing such a high customer adoption rate, and also having such a good customer reference as well? And what is it that we are delivering for our end customers is that we're providing a single pane of glass for you to manage all your data, which is both on-prem today, which could be in cloud tomorrow, or it could be a hybrid scenario as well, right? So Rubrik is here to help customers get to their end state as well. And we'll also talk about how we are radically simplifying the whole process of backup and recovery, and what we are also doing, not just from a modernizing perspective, but also how we getting you more time off of backup management as well, right? So this is where our customers see the biggest value, right? We're talking about spending a lot less time during weekends or during off business hours, spending more time with family. It's because a solution or a product is as good if you're spending as little time as possible on it, right? So this is where probably in this entire session we'll cover that as well, of how our customers are benefiting from that. And there is one key aspect that we will also be touching upon, that is predominantly from the security standpoint, and why Rubrik as a solution is right now the only company today that can actually guarantee you from even protection from ransomware as well, right? So now just to talk about how enterprises foresee the future to be, right? So they term it differently. We're talking about either having it as an SDDC, or having a digital transformation, a hybrid cloud architecture, or infrastructure as a code as well. But these all terminologies are how enterprises or companies see their future state to be, right? And most often than not, we've been told by customers that there are technologies in the infra that they have today that are limiting them from going ahead, right? And one of those key limiters is backup, right? And this is where we've also understood, how traditionally our entire stack for backup has been, right? And what is it that we are doing differently is also something that we'll point out, right? So today, if you look at traditionally how a backup software is that we have a lot of components in the mix, right? We're talking about softwares that you deploy on disparate hardwares, and you end up relying on storages or on other entities to give you those added capabilities, dedupe, compression, so on and so forth, right? But all in all, what we're talking about is the complexity, right? We're talking about multiple single points of failure. We're talking about not having the ability, right, to step into that future state, which could be, leveraging cloud to be much more cloud ready as well, or, to do a lot of self-service, which with regards to automation otherwise, right? And also, right, one of the most important things that it was not necessarily considered as important was that, how secure is my data, right? Having a tiered kind of an architecture, is my data secure, right? We have ransomware attacks happening more than ever right now, and sadly, even during these COVID times, when we see this happening, it is disheartening. But we do have hackers going after data, right? How is it that a legacy architecture can protect you from ransomware is a big pain point as well. So what is it that Rubrik is doing is that, first thing, we are modernizing your architecture, right? We are simplifying it drastically by getting rid of all the components that come into the mix, right? For you to build your backup infra. And we are basically bundling it into a single software fabric that you can truly scale as you grow, right? So that is what Rubrik is, just to let you know from an architecture standpoint.
So, Harish, I just have a question here.
Yes.
Does that really mean that customer need not to have to invest in multiple components like backup, SW, Windows license, servers, and separate disk storage?
Absolutely. So we are literally infrastructure in a box, right? So every component, if you're talking about media servers, indexing servers, cataloging servers, everything is basically, we've gotten rid of it. And we are basically having an infrastructure as a box right now, which contains everything that is needed for you to satisfy your backup infrastructure.
So, can we say that Rubrik is smartphone of a backup world?
Absolutely. So that's one analogy that our customers do say, that, we, from a simplifying perspective, yes, it is a smartphone for the new world. Yes. Awesome. So now, predominantly when it comes to not just the architecture piece, now even if we talk about where are we bringing in simplicity, where are we driving innovation, right? So that is very first from the deployment piece as well. So we are already pre-configured, pre-tuned by the time it actually arrives in your data center, right? All that needs to be done is, we cluster them together, and the process is really fast, right? So think of us as a quick plug and play device, which you can basically, have it rack stacked, have the bootstrap done, and you can basically start protecting your workloads as well, right? And there's a lot of difference when we talk about legacy to, a solution like Rubrik, is because think of the fact that there is no jobs or task-based management with Rubrik. We are bringing in a lot of intelligence when it comes to policy-based management, which means that we are more business objective driven, right? You can dictate to us saying that these are my RPOs, these are my retentions, and we'll create those intelligent policies for you to ensure that your data is protected in the defined schedules for us, and also ensuring that we create everything that has to go with that mix, completely from Rubrik's end as well, right? And what we also provide is a single pane of glass, right? Whether your data is on-prem or on cloud, you have a unified pane of glass for you to manage all your data. Now, when we talk about, having a hyper converged setup, right? We're talking about just like the earlier question on, right? We are getting rid of all these tiered components. We have everything, an entire solution in a box, basically. So think of the fact that we can leverage that storage, right? We can leverage that storage to give you instant access to your virtualized workloads or to your critical databases as well, right? And these copies which are live mounted for you is in a read write format, which means that you can have a multitude of options of what you could do with it. And we'll talk about that also, in the upcoming slides as well, right? And one of the most important things, right? How is it that Rubrik is helping customers ensure that the data is secure is basically, from a file system perspective, from a design perspective. Honestly, if I were to sum this up, I could just say that, we had the luxury of being created in the modern era. So what this has helped us do is that create a file system which is truly immutable in nature, which means that we do not have to rely on third-party hardware or storage or entities or software engines to give us that kind of capability. It is inbuilt within the product itself, right? It's there and by default. And lastly, we are a company which are not neither a storage company nor a hardware company, right? So what we basically mean by that is that we always encourage customers to only keep hot data on Rubrik, right? So when we talk about hot data, right, what we basically mean is that any data for which you would want to have instant access for, right? If it could be 7, 14, or 30 days, whichever data, you've seen the most frequent requests come from, that data we would recommend to put it on Rubrik so that we can ensure that we give our storage, our flash tier to give you instant access to them as well. But also leverage low cost storage, right? Because storage today is getting cheaper by the day. We're talking about less than a cent per GB per month right now. And we always encourage customers saying that why is it that we not leverage those, cheap and deep storages, right? So Rubrik can basically write to any NFS or S3 based protocol storage, which is completely agnostic, right? So it also helps with the overall TCO aspect as well. So one of the most important things that we would want to cover is security, right? So this is one of the biggest reasons why, if you talk about some of the critical banks here in India, and we talk about majority of the banks in Asia Pacific have also moved into Rubrik. It is because of our the way we've been designed from a security aspect. We can basically guarantee customers that we can give them end-to-end, not just encryption, but ensuring that the existing copies on Rubrik cannot be altered. And that is predominantly because of our file system that we've created. It's an append only, which means that once data gets written onto our system, it cannot be altered, right? And you add a bit of additional security to that by ensuring that you have only RBAC access. Everything that happens on Rubrik is audited. And if you would want to have that pass to your own syslog server for tracking purposes or for long-term retention purposes, that's something that's doable as well, right? And even if you look at the architecture design of Rubrik, the other thing would be that we are a node-based architecture, right? Which means that we have a mix of microservers which already has the Rubrik software pre-installed on them, and we cluster them together. So even the whole cluster that we build is is based on zero trust cluster design, which means that you are end-to-end secure. So there's right from a physical standpoint or from a breach, there's no way that your data which is already on Rubrik can ever get corrupted.
So Harish, here I have a question. Like, can you commit instant recovery for VMs and databases with Rubrik?
Absolutely. And this is where hyperconverged does come into place, right? Because we are coming not just from a software perspective, but also the compute that has to gets to manage the storage also behind it. So from a live mounting perspective, we do give you instant access to your workloads as well. It could be your virtualized workloads like VMs, your databases, your your volumes as well. So that's something that Rubrik can do because we have our own storage that we come with, right? What we do is that we create 0-byte clones for them, and we're able to give instant access to those said file sets as well. So think of it this way, right? It would not matter for us if you're trying to live mount a 5 terabyte SQL database, 10 terabyte Oracle database, or a 20 terabyte VM for that matter. The amount of time predominantly takes in a similar matter of seconds or minutes itself, because all we're doing is instant a 0-byte clone of those images that we have and instantly present it to your front end host. Right? Now, just to add on that security piece, right? Now, traditionally, if what we wanted to do was pictorially just represent with regards to how an architecture of today, which is probably a 3-tier architecture, compares with that of Rubrik, right? So if you look at the trend also with regards to all the customers who have been hit by ransomware attacks, it's because of this tiered approach, right? They have these segmented components that have to come together. And it was very easy for the hacker to actually ensure that I can basically, completely restrict access of where the data is being written to. And that was pretty much it. So they could completely immobilize the customer from even retrieving the data as well. Right now, when it comes to Rubrik, that's one thing that cannot happen, is because the whole idea of having an append only, ensuring that there's no man in the middle attack concept with our zero trust cluster design, and ensuring that any data that once written on Rubrik cannot be altered, right? So you are end-to-end secure in those aspects as well, right?
So
Now,
Hari,
yes.
sorry. I just want to interrupt you here. That can Rubrik data be impacted with ransom attacks?
Right. So the guarantee that Rubrik gives today to our end customers is that even if you get hit by a ransomware today, right, any data which is on Rubrik is literally immutable, which means that none of any of your ransomware signatures cannot affect the previous backups of ours, and that is by default in design. That's a feature that even we working in Rubrik cannot change or alter. So which is why, yes, we can guarantee our customers that even an attack, any malicious act, it can be both rogue or in-house as well, right? So we're talking about any such attacks. We can ensure that data of Rubrik is entirely 100% recoverable. Now, one of the other things that Rubrik also helps with is helping customers get to their end state, right? Now, every customer is in their own journey of it, right? We're talking about today, customers would want to have probably, one of their foots in cloud, wherein they would want to ensure that if it is for long-term retention, right? I would want to leverage low-cost storages, which could be on public cloud. So Rubrik, as I mentioned earlier, we could write to any NFS or S3-based protocol storage, both private and in public cloud. So how majority of our customers do leverage Rubrik is to have a stepping platform into cloud by archiving it to cloud first, right? Because we don't need any kind of integrators, we do not need any kind of plugins for that matter. It's something that we natively can do. Now, what we are also helping customers is with that, if they want to start testing workloads on cloud, that predominantly when you want to convert your existing on-prem images to maybe cloud-ready images, right? Be that AMIs or VHDs for that matter, Rubrik can help with that as well. Now, this, if you look at it from a use case perspective, our customers are using this wherein they've gotten rid of their DR sites. They've actually, they are now using Rubrik as their on-demand DR on cloud, right? So that's something that does help in the process. And also, if they want to do some kinds of mobility testing on cloud, this is also something that our customers have benefited from. And lastly, we are talking about customers who are way too advanced in that journey, right? Companies who have started to have started their journey in cloud itself. So Rubrik still ends up becoming that single pane of glass for them to manage all that data, right? So you having that global dashboard for you to manage not just your, if you have on-prem clusters or if you have your cloud native workloads as well, everything gets managed through a single console.
So does Rubrik integrate with all three public cloud vendors?
Absolutely. So it's only the protocol that we are after. So because AWS or GCP or Azure for that matter, they do give out S3 protocol. So which is why we can natively write to them. And just to point this out, we are an incremental forever, right? Which means that all data that writes on Rubrik is a one-time full and incremental forever. And this extends to your archival storage as well, which means that once we write data onto Rubrik, if we're talking about on-prem, right? Even the uploads that we do to cloud, it is only going to be a one-time full and it's going to be an incremental forever after that, right? Because we wanted to eliminate that whole need of sending fulls periodically. And to ensure that our chain does not get too long, what we've also done is that we actually can do a cloud consolidation within the cloud itself, right? So that we don't have to push that data across the wire. Now, if we talk about the whole strategy of hybrid cloud, right, of what we can support, it's not just talking about on-prem workloads, but we're talking about cloud native workloads as well. Now we have multitude of customers who are leveraging O365, who do not want to have all their eggs in one basket, and it's going to be spread across from using multi clouds as well. So Rubrik still ends up becoming that single management pane for them. And think of the simplicity that we bring from management as well, right? Our intelligent policy can be used to protect your multi-cloud workloads as well, which means that we can protect your EC2 instance, we can protect your GCP VM, or we can protect your Azure VM with the same policy as well, right? And all of this with an intention that anything that we back up, we can just recover as fast as well, right? Even if it is a cluster that we deploy on-prem or on cloud, right? Or if you're talking about having a SaaS based protection, that's also something that we can do, but ensuring that you have the fastest recoverability for it as well. right? And the whole learning curve with Rubrik has, if you look at it from a time perspective, it hardly takes 2 hours, right? That's how simple that we've made from a user interfacing perspective as well. And lastly, think of it not just from a management point of view, but also the ease of operations as well, right? No matter what workload it is, where it is sitting, how it is residing, you still get to manage it all, using a single pane of glass, right? Now, there are some use cases in particular that we would definitely want to touch upon. Right now, this is because we just didn't want to be a backup solution that could back up really fast, right? Because we are masterless in design, which means that it gives us the ability to back up data much faster, at least 2x 3x times faster than any of the legacy solutions out there, right? Add that to the incremental forever that we do for all workloads. So this gives the customer the ease that the customer will never have to miss their SLAs ever again, right? Ensuring that their RPOs are always intact. Now, this is where hyperconvergence also plays a key role as well. What we wanted to do was that we ensured that we had a flash tier within our system itself to ensure that when we give you instant access to the already existing backup images of us, and when we say backup images, these are again clones. We do not basically expose our file system ever, right? So imagine having that instant access, right? And that can be delivered to your most critical VMs, to your most critical databases as well. Now, if I were to just talk without naming the customer, we had a very recent outage for a customer wherein they did have a SAN outage, right? And what we could do for them was we could instantly live mount their production VMs, get them tagged to the network, ensuring that the front end users could continue using it. The IOs hit our flash tier, which means that we could give them performance as well. But if you look at it from an RTO perspective, right, they could get their business up and running in a matter of minutes. And we're talking about workloads like 4 terabyte VM and a 6 terabyte SQL database. So this is what, a value add that Rubrik brings into the picture, and how customers benefit from it as well. Right now, this is if you want to extend this to, for example, saying your databases, right? Now, the more we talk to DBAs, the more we talk to enterprises out there, we understand that most of them have the same problem, right? It's always the case that infra, or you can say the backup team, doesn't always get the complete clarity of what the DBA faces as a challenge, right? So this is where we've kind of pictorially represented, saying that, see, if a database admin actually has to do functions which could be as periodic or as repetitive as running reporting, right? Or if it is to do immediate kinds of testing or upgrades or any kinds of those activities, the amount of time that it takes for the DBA to wait to get that entire thing provisioned for him is a long time, right? Now imagine with Rubrik, with that same capability of live mount, if what the DBA can now do is that if we can quickly live mount those critical databases like your SQLs, your Oracles, and the DBA is able to do all the set functions, right? Because we are giving a read write copy, which means that the DBA can run queries off of it. The DBAs can run, any kinds of reporting that he wishes to, or any other set functions as well. Now think of the same customer that I spoke about earlier, having a 6 terabyte SQL database, right? They had a single table corruption that they wanted to, come out of. So instead of them having to recover a good lot portion of it, or sending it over the wire, or having a long, lengthy time of troubleshooting, the 6 terabyte SQL database was literally mounted in no less than a minute or two, right? And the DBA was able to understand it in his format. He was basically presented the entire database to him, right, in a matter or two, and he was able to quickly ingest that back into production. So these are those little use cases that does bring a lot of business value as well, right? So when you look at it from an RTO perspective, the entire infra was up and running in no less than minutes, right, which could have probably taken hours or days, right? Now with our most recent release, what we've also expanded into is, from an Oracle perspective, now think of also getting rid of your tasks like arm validation, right? Imagine with our live mounting capability, you can actually run arm validation on that live mounted database itself, right? So thereby all that probably ends up happening is that you get an email stating out saying that the database admin validation has been done, it is good to go, and we have we can proceed with it as well. Okay. Now, this I would imagine that this does not stop with only SQL and Oracle as well. When we talk about any other database flavor for that matter, we do support a multitude of it, and also for those databases wherein if you would want to have complete control given to the DBA is also something that we do support. Wherein now what we can do is that using our own storage, we can carve it out of Rubrik storage itself, and we can basically present it to the front end host on which the DBAs can basically write to, right? So this also helps in not just from an ease from their end as well, because there are times wherein the DBAs would not DBAs or the infra admins would not like to have that kind of change as well, right? They want to continue how they are running their operations today. Now, another key use case that we've seen is with regards to NAS, because when we look at it, especially from the unstructured data perspective, data is growing exorbitantly, right? We are talking about, earlier on, we were talking about maybe GBs and TBs probably, but right now we're talking about, petabytes and exabytes as well. That's how our, the data is being growing. And unstructured data has always been that challenge, right? So how Rubrik is now helping is that we are completely agnostic with the fact that whatever storage that you have your NAS running off of, right, we can protect it. And not only that, we wanted to ensure that we can even offload that data from your primary expensive NAS storages, because if we look at the stats, right, it's never the case that 100% of your data ever gets consumed on a periodic basis. So even when we took the stats from the majority of our customers today, everybody came back saying that more than 80% of their unstructured data is never used, is never touched, it's never there. So imagine a use case wherein what if we can actually have all that data taken traversed through Rubrik, which means that we don't even have to land it on Rubrik. We can just traverse it to any low-cost storage, but still giving you Google-like search capabilities of every object that Rubrik has basically traversed through. So if you look at it from a TCO perspective, we are ensuring that you're reducing costs on your primary sources as well. You are leveraging low-cost storage for data predominantly, which is not being used frequently as well, right? And just to point this out, we've recently acquired a company which is called as Igneous, and they were one of the market leaders when it comes to unstructured data protection, which means that petabyte scale protection. And now it has given us the ability for us to write this unstructured data directly to low cost, you can say deep archive tiers of cloud as well. So this is just an add-on feature for us.
So Harish, does
Yeah.
Rubrik have NDMP overhead while taking NAS backups?
That's a very good question. So we, the reason why we are agnostic is because we never have to have the worry of NDMP. We do not use NDMP at all because we believe that this is a limiting protocol, right? When we talk about protection, when we talk about this thing, it'll never, NDMP will never allow you to actually recover from a source to a different destination, right? It ties you to the vendor as well, and also it limits you then, with how frequently you would want to take full backups as well. So the reason how we are agnostic is basically we use NFS or SMB based protocol storage protocol, which means that it does not matter where it is being hosted off of, right? And we cannot just pick data from one source. We can even write it to another source as well, another destination as well. So no more NDMP with Rubrik.
Great.
Now, this is one aspect to it, right? Now, this is all with regards to, as a data protection solution, right? But what we wanted to do was more than what we just did, right? Now, from a data protection standpoint, from a quick backup perspective, from an instant recovery perspective, but we just wanted to do a bit more, right? And what we mean by that is now we are in a time and age wherein, backup should not be used just as an insurance policy, right? Giving you the live mounted capability, instant access. What else could we do was our biggest motto as well, right? So what we've done is that it is all about understanding your data well enough, right? So basically metadata or indexing that we call it, it's basically, the understanding of the data that we're protecting, right? What we wanted to do was, if we have a better understanding of your data, we could give you value added services as well. And that is what we've done as well. So think of the use case wherein, your metadata or, you can say the data of your data, right, which is your metadata. We can use that, we can leverage that to also give you features like cyber resilience, or to give you, data governance as well. And this is our value add for our end customers as well, right? Because think of the use case wherein, if there's an enterprise that does get hit by a ransomware, right? Now, what ends up happening is that the amount of time that it takes for the customers to actually understand what had happened, what basically has affected, what data of mine has been affected, and then to recover is usually a time that takes a very which usually takes a very long time, right? And this is why enterprises end up paying, right, because of the duration of how long the businesses are down. Now, what we've done is that, what if that intelligence can be given by Rubrik, right? If every backup of yours, when we protect it, right? What if we can give you an analysis of, are we seeing any anomalies in them, right? Are we seeing any kind of entropies in them? And think of a use case that if, say, today you're hit by a ransomware and Rubrik is your backup solution, what we could do is that we could not just give you an instant notification of saying that, hey, look, we actually have seen an anomaly. These are the number of changes that have happened since the last time that we've protected. If we can give you that granular impact assessment as well, right? So that value add now gives the ability for the customer to instantly recover as well, right? With a single click, wherein we can basically find out what basically has been affected and instantly recover. Now, this is one aspect of cyber resilience, right? Now, think of a case wherein most of the times enterprises do have to follow governance as well, data classification. Like if your data is spread across the world or within India, if there are compliances that you have to ensure that your data is adhering to, right? That same ability to understand your data has helped us to give you a value added service, wherein think of Rubrik giving you that intelligence of letting you know when there is sensitive data lying in your data, right? So think of you having credit card information lying around in your file share which is open, or sensitive data which is which should not be in a said location. Rubrik can be that solution for you, where it will also ensure that your data is compliant to the governance models that you have to adhere to as well, right? So that also helps in not just adhering to one such policy, but we can do it to a multitude of policies. And we also give the end customer the flexibility of creating their own policies as well. It doesn't have to be the standard policy like PCI DSS, or if it is outside, if you're talking about GDPR or any of those compliances. We're talking about policies that you could create and you could define for Rubrik, saying that if there is any kind of signature like this, do let me know about it, right? And one thing that we did get a very good feedback for for the customers who have been using this, and one of the core feedback was, can we merge them together? Radar is our cyber resilience feature that we provide. Sonar is our data governance. So how is it that we can leverage the two together? Is that, now think of even if worst case, if you do get hit by a ransomware, now imagine you having the ability to also know that what amount of your data not just got infected, but how much of that data is critical data for you, right? So that is also something that becomes as a value add. So this is like an add-on to not just data protection, but thinking also saying that, okay, if you have sensitive data, if you've been infected by ransomware, how quickly could you recover from it as well? And lastly, right, this is just before I end this presentation, in a nutshell, if you were to represent what Rubrik does, it is basically, like I mentioned earlier, it's a single pane of glass, right, for you to manage all your data, irrespective of where it is lying, right? And even it is also a software that actually helps customers get to their end state as well, right? Like we also spoke about, end states could be different for different companies, right? It could be cloud, it could be hybrid, it could be multi-cloud for that matter. Rubrik helps customers get there as well. And data protection is basically our bread and butter, but what we also wanted to do was give you some added benefits to it as well. That's where the value of data is coming into picture, and that's where our cyber resilience and data governance also comes into play, right? So I think with this, I'll take this out to Q&A.
Great. Thank you so much, Harish, for value adding in the webinar. I hope everybody who is present here have found some great insight, and they have definitely have some questions from you. So I request Harish to please switch on the Q&A session. There are a lot of questions from the people. You can answer from there.
Absolutely, absolutely. Okay, there's one question that Rajat has asked. What is the level of encryption used in Rubrik? Okay, very good question here. So when we talk about encryption at every level, we are talking about data in transit with TLS 1.2 with an AES 256 military grade encryption for data at rest, and any data that leaves Rubrik, right? It has to be encrypted with a bare minimum of a 2048-bit encryption key as well, right? So it means that irrespective of whether data is being fetched by Rubrik or being put on Rubrik or being archived out, it is end-to-end secure in that aspect, right? So there's another question from Dilnawaz, which is, which third-party solution is available for ransomware? Okay, so this is another value add of Rubrik, because we do not have to rely on any third-party software or tool for that matter. It is something that is inbuilt within the, this is something inbuilt with Rubrik itself. This is where, I think in the slide or two, I actually mentioned Radar, right? So Radar is that added value-added component. Now, just to point this out, right? We are immutable by nature. It's not that we basically license it differently or otherwise. When Rubrik is basically sold to the customer, it is by default immutable in nature, right? So that kind of protection is always present. But what we do as a value add or as an add-on is, we can give you analytics as well. We can give you a core deep impact assessment as well, right? That is our feature called as Radar, right? So that's a add-on that we can actually have. So there's a question from Richard. Data written is in encrypted form. Yes. So data, as I mentioned earlier, it is in 256 multi-grade encryption. And if you look at the file format of it, it's actually in patch file format, which ensures that it's completely unreadable as well. Right. So there's another question: how to have backup in real time or DSI to be protected from ransomware attack? Would love to know. Okay, so the question basically is that how do we ensure that there's a good sync between the active and the passive sites for that matter, and ensuring that you're protected from ransomware attacks, right? So it's a very good question here. Now, if there is a DCDR setup and we have Rubrik running on both clusters, right, and we do have CDP in place as well. So what we could do is we could ensure that the data that is being written onto Rubrik, yes, it is asynchronously replicated to your DR, but with the assurance that your existing data does not get altered, changed, or affected by ransomware, right? You can be rest assured, whether it is from primary or from secondary, your data would be 100% recoverable, right? Even if your front-ending workloads have been affected, Rubrik system cannot be affected by that ransomware, right? Okay. So I think there's more questions on what is the level of encryption used in Rubrik. That's something that I've covered. Then what would be the retention period for backup data and restore point, right? So Jatin, to answer your question, this is more so based on, this is very specific to the organization. Now, if we talk about, two of the top 5 banks in India who's actually using Rubrik, right? Their ask was to ensure that we actually keep at least 30 days of backup on on Rubrik, and for compliance reasons, which actually goes out, it actually has to be kept for months and years together, right? So this is very much dependent on the organization and where we want to put or write data to, keep data for. But from a retrieval perspective, just to let you know, anything on Rubrik, yes, it is instantly retrievable, right, from a live mounting feature as well. But also the fact that even the data which is archived out to low cost storage, right, you still have that indexing on Rubrik. You still have a Google-like search for any data that is sent out, right? So think of a use case wherein you have, say, 100 terabyte of NAS data that you've actually protected on Rubrik, and you've archived this out to, say, S3 or Blob or any other low-cost storage. You still have the flexibility of finding a file or a folder called as jatin.txt, and you have the ability to just recover that one single file as well. So it's a one-click recovery, even if you're putting data to any low-cost storage, right? So there are questions very much in particular to different vendors out there, though I would not be able to name them. But The main differentiators of Rubrik with regards to the other appliance-based models in the market, or when we talk about um, other new gen solutions that have come to the market, is that first thing is that design, right? We are, from a security standpoint, how we've designed ourselves, how we've ensured that we have no single point of failure, right? If you look at it, so basically there are a set of questions that we do put on the table, saying that does it meet these requirements, right? Does it have no single point of failure? Is it immutable by design? Does it have a file system that is append only, right? Does it ensure that it is agnostic to whatever data that you're trying to protect? Is it agnostic to which storage that I can write to? So all these parameters are those key differences, right? And this is what is our strongest USP as well when compared to the legacy to the other solutions that are there in the market. We will be happy to let you know those questions that you could ask your current provide your current backup solutions as well, if this is what you could deliver, right? So there's a question. Did I cover them all? Okay, can we
Rajat's question you are seeing? Dilnawaz and Rajat is the.
oh, sorry. So can we have also a third-party encryption solution? Okay, so this is again a good question here. So if, for example, you would want to leverage any third-party, solution for that matter, if say, for example, you've got KMAP or you have RSA key tokens, yes, you could leverage them with Rubrik as well. And if you have rotating key pair, rotating encryption key pairs, that's also something that you can tag with Rubrik, ensuring that the storage or the archival storage that we are writing to, even if the encryption keys changes, it is in sync with Rubrik. Right. And the last one is can check the restore point of a backup VM. Like, okay, so basically from a restore point perspective, yes, I think if you get a hands-on on Rubrik, we are scheduling one for later this month, and it's a hands-on lab for Rubrik as well. This is something that you can definitely explore with regards to how our user interface is, from not just from an operational standpoint as well, with the ease of it as well, and how quickly in a matter of just 2 clicks, right, you have instant access to whatever is being protected by Rubrik as well. So that's something that will definitely drive value.
Great. I think Harish has answered all the questions which were asked. I request everybody who is still asking the question, please put it in the Q&A session because it can lost in the chat. Also, how many people are excited for a game? We have a game for you regarding whatsoever you have observed here, and the people will also get some good prizes. How many people are excited about it? Just type E in the chat box. Great. Rajat is excited. Okay. Great. So Ali, can we start the game?
Yeah, sure. Hi
Great.
everyone, I'm Ali this side. So first of all, thank you for attending this webinar, and thank you Pramjot for hosting this. Harish, a great presentation. So let's move to this. It will be a polling game. I'll be posting that. So for that, I'll request all the attendees to just grab their mobile phones, mobile devices, and Google search kahoot.it. I'm writing down in the chat box, kahoot.it. It will take just a minute. Request you to just join in there. And in the meantime, I'll pull up my screen. Param, can you allow me to share the screen? Yeah,
You're a
got it.
co-host.
Yeah, got it. Thank you. So you're able to see my screen, right?
Yes, Ali, we can.
Okay, got it. Okay, so whosoever has come on kahoot.it, just type in the game pin. This game pin that is visible on my screen, 9510945. So I can see EP has joined, Shiva has joined. Oh, great. A lot many people are joining. That's great. Yeah. So I'll be starting this poll right away. So you'll there are 5 questions that will be appearing on the screen, and you'll have around 30 seconds to answer each question on your mobile device. I'll repeat that the question will appear on your screen, laptop screen, where I'm sharing my screen with you guys, and you'll have to answer through your mobile device. Very simple. So let's start this game. Here's the first question that will be coming up on my screen. So this is the first question. What is the size of data which is backed up by the customer? We are talking about the full backup. So you have options in red, blue, yellow, and green. So you'll have to type, just press the color on your mobile device. Just 9 seconds left. Okay. So we'll have second question coming up on my screen. How old is the existing data protection solutions running in your current data center? And the options are below. Ten seconds left. Be quick. So 50% of people have chosen the option yellow. That's good. So the next question is, what are the typical pain points for the data protection? Left with 10 seconds. Put in your answers, please. I think option B is something that 43% of the attendees have chosen. Okay, moving ahead with the last question. Sorry, the fourth question. Is customer planning to move to a tapeless solution for primary and the secondary DR? Yes, no, maybe already available. Left with 10 seconds. Okay, I think the option A, 56% have chosen. So that comes with the last question that I have for you. Is customer running workloads on public cloud and evaluating a backup solution for those workloads? Options are given below. Okay, so we have finished with our questions. So top 3 winners will get a voucher. So I'll be sharing the winner's name in the chat box. In the meantime, Param, you can take it over.
Thank you so much, Ali, for this amazing and exciting game. And everybody has enjoyed it. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you.
So now, people, I have a question to you all that hope you find a value in this webinar. If yes, then drop V in the chat box. And I would like to acknowledge the presence of a person who has been supporting us, helping us planning these such value addition webinar, Mr. Ritesh Gupta, the country manager head of Rubrik, who has been supporting us throughout. And he also answered question of Anil Rao in the chat box. Thank you so much, sir, for doing that. So before I move forward, I would like to hear from Harish how he finds this webinar. What are his observation, and what kind of questions you can observe from the audience?
Charlie, firstly, thanks a lot for the participants who did come on this call to join this session. Right, we really hope that you did find value to this, because this is a problem statement that most of the customers are going through. How do we simplify backup? How do we spend a lot more time with family? And this is how we wanted to ensure that there is a product called as Rubrik in the market that we wanted to let you know all of and also the features of it as well. So if there's anything that you would want to know in detail, please do let us know. You can reach out to Techjockey as well, or to us directly as well, and we can help you redesign your backup and to give you a lot more value of your data that you're protecting.
Thank you so much, Harish, for valuating with your expertise. And we are looking forward to have you for more such sessions. Now, I would like to announce one more announcement that you can attend and register for more Rubrik webinar. In the chat box, Ritesh sir has shared the link for it, forward.rubrik.com. It's on 18th and it's a virtual event. You all can join. And again, you're going to have an amazing and value adding webinar forward. So Ali, are we ready with the winners? Can you announce the winners? Okay, so Ali has shared the winners. For the winners of the poll, so I would like Harish to announce the winners. It's on the chat box, Harish.
Oh, sure. I think it's already for the attendees as well. So
Right.
we do have Anil Rao, Balam Singh, and Dil Nawaz, who actually are the top three.
Wow. A huge round of applause for you all. Thank you so much. And it's still not the end of the prizes. There are three lucky winners which you still going to win from the lucky draw which we're going to have. The panelists have observed people for three engaging questions also. That person will also win, and there will be a prize for three early bird who joined our webinar when we started. So wait till within this week, and we are going to email you, and we are going to let you know who all that lucky winners are. Rest, we all are lucky because we all are safe in this risky world. And yes, one currency you have shared with us, and that is time, because time is the only currency which we have in common. And you choose your 3 to 4 PM of 29th April with us. It's telling us that you value us and you like our services. Thank you so much, this lovely audience. Stay tuned for more such webinars. I would now like to thank the panelist Harish for valuating and sharing your expertise. I would like to thank Ritesh sir for helping us from end to end to make sure this webinar is a success. Ali for this amazing game, my team at Techjockey, Ria, Laksh, Vasundhara, Akshita for helping me execute this webinar. And this is my first webinar for Techjockey, and I hope I am able to do a job which they were expecting. Thank you so much, everyone. Stay tuned for more such webinars and at Techjockey. Click, compare, and buy. Thank you so much. Take care. God bless. And hope you all are safe and sound. Until then, bye.